The warm afternoon sun bathed the university campus in golden light as graduates poured onto the lawn in their black gowns and colorful honor cords. Everywhere, proud families hugged their children, balloons floated into the sky, and cameras captured smiles that would be remembered for a lifetime. At the far end of the courtyard, however, 22-year-old Emily sat quietly in her wheelchair. A spinal injury years earlier had left her paralyzed from the waist down, but it had never stopped her from chasing her dreams. She had graduated at the top of her business class despite countless surgeries, painful therapy sessions, and the whispers of people who doubted she would ever finish college. Today should have been the happiest day of her life. Instead, she stared at the empty chair reserved for her father. Her father was Richard Hale, one of the country's most powerful CEOs. Newspapers praised his billion-dollar company, business magazines called him a visionary, and television hosts admired his success. Yet the one place Emily wanted him to be was the one place he hadn't shown up. Earlier that morning, he had called. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," he had said. An emergency board meeting came up. "I'll make it up to you." Emily had smiled through the phone, pretending to understand. "It's okay, Dad," but after hanging up, tears quietly rolled down her cheeks. Deep inside, she knew this wasn't the first important moment he had missed. Birthdays, hospital visits, school performances, and now graduation, his business always seemed to come first. As the ceremony ended, graduates rushed into the arms of their loved ones. Bouquets changed hands, laughter filled the air, and families posed for photos beneath the university's stone archway. Emily remained where she was. She watched one family after another celebrate while trying to convince herself she didn't mind. She held her diploma tightly against her chest, forcing a smile whenever another graduate rolled or walked past her. A few classmates offered quick congratulations before leaving with their families. Within minutes, the busy courtyard began to empty. The silence around her grew louder. She looked down at her phone. No new messages, no missed calls, just the same promise from her father that he would make it up to her someday. Emily took a slow breath and whispered to herself, "Maybe next time." But even she no longer believed those words. She adjusted the small graduation cap on her head and stared toward the campus gate, hoping against hope that a familiar black car might still appear. It never did. Instead, she lowered her eyes, trying to hide the disappointment that had settled deep inside her heart, unaware that someone. Emily lowered her head, determined not to let anyone see her cry. The cheerful voices around her faded as more families left the campus. Within minutes, the once crowded courtyard became almost empty. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" She looked up. Standing beside her was a man in worn jeans, a neatly pressed plaid shirt, and work boots that had clearly seen better days. He held a small bouquet of white daisies in one hand while his other hand rested gently on the shoulder of a little boy, no older than 7. Emily quickly wiped away a tear. "No," she answered softly. The man smiled warmly and sat on the nearby bench. "My name's Daniel," he said. "This is my son, Noah." Noah grinned shyly before stepping forward. "Congratulations on graduating," the little boy said, stretching out the bouquet toward her. "Dad said everyone deserves flowers today." Emily blinked in surprise. "For me?" Daniel nodded. "We were actually looking for my younger sister. She graduated too, but she ran off with her friends before we could find her. Then Noah noticed you sitting here." The little boy shrugged innocently. "You looked lonely." For a moment, Emily couldn't find the words. No expensive gift from her father's company had ever touched her heart as much as those simple flowers. "They're beautiful," she whispered. "Thank you." Daniel noticed the untouched reserved chair beside her. "Were you waiting for someone?" Emily hesitated before answering. "My father. He couldn't make it." She forced a smile. "Work." Daniel didn't ask another question. He understood enough from the sadness in her eyes. "I know disappointment," he said quietly. "After Noah's mom passed away, there were days I thought we'd never smile again." Emily looked at him with sympathy. "I'm so sorry. It took us a long time," Daniel continued. "But Noah taught me something. Family isn't measured by how much money you make or how important your job is. It's measured by showing up." Those words settled deep inside Emily's heart. Noah suddenly tugged on his father's sleeve. "Dad, can we take her graduation picture?" Daniel laughed softly. "Only if she'd like us to." Emily looked around the empty courtyard. She realized she didn't have a single graduation photo. "I'd love that." Daniel carefully positioned her wheelchair beneath the university arch while Noah proudly held the bouquet beside her. A passing graduate noticed them and offered to take the picture. "Everyone smile," she called. For the first time that day, Emily's smile was genuine. The camera clicked several times, capturing not wealth or success, but a moment of unexpected kindness between strangers. As Daniel thanked the photographer, Emily looked down at the photo on the screen. It wasn't the picture she had imagined taking with her father. Yet somehow, it was exactly the picture she would treasure for the rest of her life. Just then, the deep rumble of a luxury car echoed through the nearly empty campus entrance, and every head turned toward the sound. Nearby had quietly noticed her sitting alone. The sleek black luxury car rolled slowly through the university gates before stopping near the courtyard. A driver hurried around to open the rear door. Out stepped Richard Hale. His tailored suit looked as flawless as ever, but his face told a different story. He scanned the nearly empty campus with growing panic, searching for his daughter. "Emily," he called. She turned toward the familiar voice. For a brief moment, hope flickered in her eyes. Then she remembered the long hours she had spent waiting alone. The hope faded into quiet disappointment. Richard walked quickly toward her, holding an expensive velvet jewelry box. "I'm sorry," he said, breathing heavily. "The meeting ran much longer than expected. I came as fast as I could." Emily looked at the unopened gift before meeting his eyes. "You missed it, Dad." "I know. I wasn't waiting for a necklace." Richard's hand slowly lowered. "I was waiting for you." The words struck harder than any business failure he had ever experienced. For years, he had believed that providing the best schools, the finest doctors, and every comfort money could buy was enough. Standing in front of his daughter, he realized none of those things could replace his presence. His eyes drifted toward Daniel and Noah, who stood quietly a few steps away. "Who are they?" Richard asked. Emily smiled gently. "The people who made sure I wasn't alone today." Richard turned to Daniel. "Thank you for staying with my daughter." Daniel shook his hand politely. "It wasn't a favor. Everyone deserves someone to celebrate with." Richard looked down, ashamed. "I should have been that person." Noah stepped forward with the innocent honesty only a child could have. "She's really nice," he said. "You missed her big smile." Richard felt his throat tighten. "I know," he whispered. For the first time in years, the billionaire CEO didn't think about shareholders, contracts, or profits. He thought about every birthday he had missed, every hospital visit he had postponed, and every promise he had broken. He turned back to Emily. "I can't change today," he said softly. "But if you'll let me, I'd like to start changing tomorrow." Emily studied her father's face. She saw no excuses, no phone in his hand, and no distracted glance toward his waiting car, only genuine regret. She reached out. Richard gently took her hand. "I'm still hurt," she admitted. "I understand. But I'm willing to give you another chance." A tear slipped down Richard's cheek as he knelt beside her wheelchair and embraced her carefully. Nearby, Daniel smiled quietly while Noah clapped his hands. The passing photographer, noticing the heartfelt reunion, raised her camera once more. "This one's on me," she said. Richard stood beside his daughter, Daniel and Noah joined them, and together they smiled for one final photograph. It captured something far more valuable than success or wealth. It captured forgiveness, kindness, and the simple truth that life's greatest achievements are measured not by the meetings we attend, but by the moments we choose not to miss.